Claude Fable 5, after being banned by the US government last month, is now back. And when it first launched, Crosby, an AI native law firm, said that in their blind review, their lawyers found that its red lines matched or beat their current model every time. So, in this video, I'll show you how to use it to redline contracts and how to set it up to check every contract against your firm's own positions. And if you don't know who I am, my name is Jordi and I build AI employees for law firms. Now, before I show you how to set this up, let me first show you what the finished redline contract actually looks like. Now, first we have the raw contract the client gave us. It's an NDA from our client's counterparty, and it has 12 sections and about 4 pages of legal text. Now, this is a fake document that I created using AI for this video, so everything you'll see is synthetic, but the workflow we'll see is real. And this is the finished redline of that same NDA. Every one of these markings is a tracked change with deletions struck through in red and insertions right next to them. And each one is dated and altered by our firm. Now, to get this done, Claude reviewed all 17 clauses against our firm's own positions, and it made 12 red lines where the contract violated them. And the red line is only half of what came back, because the same run also created this risk memo where we can see that it reviewed 17 clauses, made 12 red lines, has 2 red flags and marked 2 items as needing a lawyer's input. And then every finding ranked from the highest to the lowest priority, with the red ones being the most critical. Now, here we can see first one-way obligations on a two-way deal, and secondly a non-solicit hiding in the NDA. And then every one of these cards tells us what the clause says, which firm position it violates, and then what exact edit Fable made in the document. And if we scroll down, here we have the 2 clauses that need a lawyer's input, stating what exactly is missing and what still needs to be requested in order to complete these. And that first red line that used to take an associate maybe 3 to 6 hours, well, this gets you about 80% of the way there in just 6 minutes. Now, keep in mind that this red line is review ready, not send ready. It will still need a lawyer to review the results. But anyway, let's get started. All right, step 1, picking the model. So all we do here is that we open the Claude desktop app and then we pick a folder that it will work in. Then for the model picker, we'll pick Fable 5 and it's going to be included in every paid plan through July 7th. And after that, it's one switch in your settings to keep it running. And before any document goes in, we disable the models from training on your data. So here we are in the app. Now here in the top left corner there are 3 tabs, one named Chat, Cowork and Code, and we are going to be working in the Code one. And I know that that may sound intimidating, but we're not going to be doing any coding at all. So if you can use the Claude Chat, the regular one, you'll be able to do this too. Now right here we need to select our working folder that the Claude app will be working within, that will, for example, contain our contract. Now, mine is a folder that I named Contract Review. And that folder can be anywhere on your computer for this to work. So select your folder right here. Now, the model. Down here is the model picker and we will select Fable 5. And then for the effort, we will set it to the max setting, which is the most powerful setting. And keep in mind that every Claude subscription plan has a weekly usage limit. And until July 7th, Fable 5 is included for up to half of that limit. And after July 7, it will run on something called usage credits that you can find right here. And this is basically a pay-as-you-go balance. And it's just a matter of flipping on this switch. So flip it on, pay for extra credits right here, and your firm will be able to keep using Fable 5 after July 7. And one more setting, and it's an important one for law firms, is that we'll click here in the privacy tab, and then we see the option here to help improve our AI models. And mine is turned off, and with it turned off, the model is not trained on your client data. And that's all there is to the setup. So now we need the thing that makes this redline based on your firm's positions. All right, so step 2, the firm playbook. And all we do here is read one file, which contains your firm's positions, because you should know what the reviews run on. And it holds 8 positions, and each one carries a severity, which is just how loud that it should flag everything. So every contract from there on is checked against this one file, and that makes it based on your positions and not on generic AI best practices. Now, we want to be able to see the files that we are working with in this contract review folder. So let's just quickly type hi here, or that can be anything, and that will make this top right corner icon appear. And then when we click on it, we'll click on files. And now you can see that in this folder, it has just 2 things. One is a file named firm positions, and the other is a folder named .claude with a folder named skills in it, which I'll explain in just a second. Now, one thing to note is that the files that you see in this sidebar are just in the contract review folder that I linked this Claude app to earlier, and it is basically automatically linked to the files that you see in this sidebar and vice versa. But anyway, this is the entire system, and you can download this folder and this in the description of this video so that you can follow along exactly from this point. And this is what opens up when you click that link. It comes with the contract redlining contract skill you're about to see run. It comes with the firm positions playbook already filled in with 8 positions as a template to adapt, and a plain English setup guide that walks you through every step of this video. It's a 14-page PDF. So just navigate here if you want to get it. This is where the link will take you. Just type a 0 here and then click on I want this. Then you'll have to give your email and then it'll be sent to you. So grab that if you want to follow along, and let's take a look at that playbook file. So let's open up the firm positions file first, and I will just make this a little bit bigger. And this is basically the playbook, the firm's positions on NDAs, 8 of them in total in this example, and just written down in plain English. So 2 examples are, for example, what counts as confidential with a severity of medium, and mutuality with a severity of high. And the format is just that it states what is acceptable, what needs to be pushed back on, and basically how loudly it needs to flag each of these. And here's the part that I really want you to get. Every contract from now on is checked against this file. Your positions in your firm's own words, not generic best practices, which also means that this is yours to edit. If you change a position once in here, every review after that will run on the updated one. And you can either edit these text files in the source, in the folder that I just showed you, but you can also do it locally here in the app itself by clicking this icon here, view source, and then just simply making your edits here as you want and hitting save. And the second thing in this folder is the folder named .claude, which contains a folder named skills, which contains another folder named redline-contract. And this is the skill itself, and that is going to be the next step. Okay, so step 3, the review. With the setup done, all that we have to do here is to drop in the contract and then run the skill, and every clause gets checked against your playbook that you just saw. So green means that it's passing, yellow means that it needs a look, and red are the highest priority ones. And if it can't verify something, it will always flag it. It will never just make a guess. And then once it's done, it will hand you back 2 files. One, a ranked risk memo, and secondly, the redlined contract itself as a Word document. All right, now we're going to get our NDA into this sidebar so that we can work with it. Now, first I'm going to open up my project folder in my file explorer, which is exactly the same as you see here, if you can remember. And Then we'll open up the folder that contains the NDA right here, and I will just simply drag it in right here. And now if we go into our app, we have to do this funny workaround and type something here and remove it, and then we'll see that it is showing up here now. So if your matter lives in Clio or whatever system your firm runs, you'd export the contract from there first. And by the way, you can do what I did here. You can have Claude generate a fake matter for you, fake documents on a real workflow, so that you can practice without sending any client data to an AI tool until your firm has figured out its AI policy, but you don't fall behind in the meantime. Then all we have to do is type /redline-contract, which is the skill that we have right here, and hit enter. And that's all there is to it. And just keep in mind, if anything ever shows an error or you get stuck, you don't have to fix it yourself. You just copy and paste the issue or the error into this same chat right here, and you let Claude fix it for you. Now, while this is working, let's take a look at what is a skill. So let's open this up right here and make this a little bit larger. And we can see that it's just a plain text file, a process, in this case the firm's contract review, written down once. So it runs the same way every single time. And when your firm needs a skill that doesn't exist yet, you just describe the process here in the chat and you ask Claude to turn it into a skill. And now here you describe your process and it will create the necessary file for you. All right, so it just finished running and this run took about 8 minutes and that's the whole review done. Now, the first of the two files that it gave us is this risk memo, which it opened up a preview for right here. It's the one that I showed you at the start of the video as well. And so this is today's one, and I'll click on the sidebar on the file right here that ends on HTML, which means that it needs to be opened in the browser. So I will right click it here, open it in Finder, and then just drag it into my browser. And here we have this runs counts. And again, each redline card gives you 3 things: what the clause says, which of your positions it violates, and the exact edit that it made. And down here is an important section where it shows you what it couldn't verify against your positions or your matter documents, and it tells you, and it won't just guess. All right, so step 4, the final step in our checklist. So that will be opening up the red line in Word. And all that you need to do here is to read the red line and in the track changes, accept them one by one or reject them. And note that every change traces back to a playbook position. And the clauses where it could not verify something, it didn't make any edits at all because those were flagged in the memo instead, as we saw earlier. And of course, a lawyer signs, as always, this is review ready and not send ready. Now, let's open up the red line in a Word document. So to do that, we pick the red line document right here, which is right next to the original contract, the docx version, which is a Word document. We right click it and then in open in we go to the Finder, and then I'll just drag this into my Word. And here we have it, and these are the tracked changes, the same ones that your firm already works with. You accept or reject them, and with the normal review tools, so nothing about your review workflow changes. Now let's check its work, because you should never accept a red line without a lawyer's review, and I'm not a lawyer, but I can check if it followed the positions playbook, which I opened right here next to the document, and we'll take 2 changes. First, section 6, the term. So the contract said that our confidentiality obligations survive for 7 years, and the red line strikes that and makes it 3. Now, why is that? It's because position 3 in our playbook states that the standard is 3 years, and we push back on anything that is longer than that. And the second one, right below it in section 7, the contract gave us 5 business days to destroy every copy with no allowance for backup systems, which computers simply can't do. So the red line makes it 10 business days, and it wrote in a carve-out routine backups plus 1 compliance copy, which is exactly what position 4 would say. So each of these edits traces back to the position that required it. And this right here is one difference from just using the Claude chat, because if you paste a contract into a chat window, you get advice back, and then you're the one retyping every change into the document, hoping that you carried them all over, and they won't be based on your firm's own positions, which is the most important part. So here the changes are already in the contract, so instead of retyping anything, I'll just accept this first one, and now it reads as final text with the rest still marked for review. Now let me zoom out for 1 second, because this is where the economics of contract review change for your firm. The machine did the first pass, and your part of the work is probably minutes, checking the items it flagged as needing your attention and then signing off. Claude does the drafting hours, and your attorney spent their minutes on the judgment calls, and that's how you take on more clients with the same team size. Right, now the verdict in 2 parts. So we have Harvey's legal agent benchmark first, which is graded in the strictest way possible, and then our own check on our own contract, the same exact NDA and playbook, through the best Claude model before this one, Opus 4.8, to see whether we can see the differences. So this is the chart from Harvey, which is a legal AI company for enterprise, and it's their own legal agent benchmark. Now read the way they grade it before you see the numbers, which is that this is an all-pass standard, which means that the model has to get an entire legal task right end to end, or that task counts as a complete fail. So that's why every number on this chart looks kind of low percentage-wise, and it's also what makes this chart honest. So on that grading, Fable 5 scores 13.3%, and the test before it on Opus 4.8 sits at 10.4%, with 2 other models before it at 7.1% and 4.2%. But let's have a look at the actual differences we can spot in our own NDA review. So before this video, I ran the exact same NDA and playbook through Opus 4.8, and what you'll see side by side are the risk memos from these 2 finished runs. The review from the start of the video on Fable 5 on the right hand side, next to Opus's on the left hand side. And let me be straight about the results. Opus is already pretty good at this. It caught both red flags, and it flagged the same 2 needs your input items. So on the big red lines, the 2 models perform similarly on this small test. However, the differences are in the details. So here are the 3 I could check against the playbook. So firstly, the one-way confidentiality problem, our biggest red flag. Now both models caught it, but if we read the 2 cards side by side, Fables says that the sentence is struck in the red line with the full rewrite routed to you as a redraft note, and Opus's card says it in its own words, where it says that no tracked changes were made. So both models made the same diagnosis, but only one of them put it into the document. Secondly, the buried non-solicit, hidden in section 9. Now both models struck it out of the contract, but the section's heading still said non-solicitation, advertising a covenant that's no longer there. So Fable caught that and renamed the heading to match what's left in the clause. You can see it right here in its card. And Opus's card doesn't mention the heading at all. So it's a small edit, but it's real finishing work, and it's the kind of work that a reviewer would otherwise spend their time on doing by hand. And the third and last one, which is the one that matters most for trust, section 11 carries a venue clause with a buried waiver inside it, and this one is not one of those needs your input items. Fable flagged it yellow and wrote in plain terms that no written position covers this waiver and that a attorney judgment is required, and while Opus's memo just accepted this section completely as acceptable and moved on. So the same playbook, the same contract, and one model stopped where the playbook ran out and asked, and the other just ran right past it. So we can see the difference in scoring that Harvey gave it of a 13.4% for Fable 5 versus the 10.4% for Opus 4.8. So that's the verdict that I can actually show you, and it lines up with what Crosby's lawyers reported. Not a dramatic difference, it got the same important items after all, but Fable 5 is still more thorough in its work, and the more documents that you're going to be working with and the larger they are, the better that Fable will become because it's built for long running tasks. So it's generally more reliable and can therefore reduce a lawyer's manual review time even further than Opus 4.8 could. So before we wrap this up, I'll tell you what this workflow can't yet do. So 1, the track changes need a Word document going in. So if the contract arrives as a PDF or as a plain text, you still get the full memo and the list of edits, but not the redlined Word document. And 2, the playbook that I'm giving you covers NDAs only. For other contract types, someone at your firm has to write the positions first in the skill file that I showed you earlier, and that's real work, and it's also why these reviews are worth trusting. Every edit traces back to a position that your firm wrote. Now, 3, everything it produces is a draft, so don't expect this to fully remove the need for a lawyer anytime soon. And 4, the big one, this whole workflow lives in one folder on one computer, so nothing connects to your document systems like Clio on its own. Nothing runs on its own either, so someone has to drop each contract in and start each review one at a time, and your team works with it in this app instead of where they already spent their whole day in their email inbox. Now, I'm not a lawyer. Setting up AI employees like this for law firms is what I do, and that last limit is exactly the part that I also built. An AI employee that's integrated with your firm's systems, your Clio, your templates, your matters, and that your team works with straight from their email inbox, chatting to the agent through emails. And a contract comes in, the review starts on its own automatically, and the draft comes back to you as a lawyer in the same email thread. So if you want this at full capacity, the link to reach me is down in the description. Now, if you remember nothing else, just remember these 4 things. 1, the playbook is the authority. Every review runs on your positions. 2, it flags what it can't verify. It will never guess. 3, this is review ready, never send ready. A lawyer always signs. And 4, always start small with a single process to keep things simple. Move into the next process when you are seeing results in using the first one. And starting can be as simple as just one person with one subscription plan and one contract. Run one real NDA next to your normal review and judge the red line for yourself. Everything from this video is in the guide, plus a few things I didn't have time to show you here completely for free, and the link for that is also down in the description. And if you get stuck anywhere or there's a workflow your firm wants to see automated next in one of these videos, leave a comment. I'll respond to every one of them. And if this was useful, a like would really help me out. And thanks for watching. And if you want to see the bigger version of this system, where 155 agents draft a full demand letter, that video is right here.